Ladies and gentlemen, there is a quiet power within you, a power that does not struggle, does not chase, does not beg, but simply knows. And that power, when properly understood, unlocks a life of ease, joy, and miraculous fulfillment. Today we talk not about forcing your will upon the world, but about a higher law, one that invites you to let go, to relax, and to trust the universe. Creation does not begin in action. It begins in stillness. In your imagination, everything you see around you was first seen within. Your inner world is not just a place of dreams and fantasy, it is the origin of reality. When you imagine something with feeling, you plant a seed in the unseen. And if you persist, the outer world has no choice but to conform. Letting go is often misunderstood. People think it means giving up on what they want. No, letting go means releasing the tension, the anxiety, the doubt about how and when it will happen. You do not need to concern yourself with the mechanism. Your only job is to accept that it is done. Letting go is faith in motion. Now let's speak of assumption, the sacred art of embodying your desire before it appears. If you want love, assume you are already loved. If you want success, walk as one who already has it. Feel it real. You don't have to fight your way to the top. You must feel your way there. A relaxation is not weakness, it is alignment. When you rest, in the end, you create a magnetic field of certainty. The seed of desire, once planted, grows not by digging it up daily in doubt, but by watering it with trust. The universe is not judging you, it is not punishing you, it is reflecting you. Every circumstance, every face, every moment is a mirror. Change your inner state and watch how reality bends to accommodate it. Trust the universe is to know, not to wish, not to plead, but to know that the moment you desired, it was already yours. You may not see it yet, but it is done. As surely as the sun will rise, so too will your desire manifest, if you know. So let go of worry, relax the mind, trust the process. Step into the unseen with confidence. Live in the wish fulfilled, and let the universe do what it does best. Reflect back the truth of who you believe yourself to be. Imagination is not a fleeting daydream or idle fantasy. It is the very foundation upon which all things are built. Every object you see, every structure, invention, and circumstance that exists in the physical world was once born in the unseen realm of the mind. Long before it took form, it existed as an idea, an image, a feeling within someone's inner world. Imagination is the workshop of creation, the sacred place where the invisible becomes visible, where thought is clothed in form. It is through imagination that we enter the dimension of causation. The world around us does not act independently of our consciousness. It reflects it. To imagine a thing is to initiate its birth. And when that imagining is sustained with feeling, when it becomes more real to us inwardly than what the senses report, it begins to crystallize into the world of experience. What is held in imagination with conviction will inevitably find its path to expression. For imagination is not just mental, it is spiritual, the divine creative faculty within every person. Most live under the illusion that life happens to them. But nothing is ever imposed from the outside. Every experience is drawn from the inside out. Imagination sets the blueprint. Thought, when emotionalized and believed, sets the course. Even those who seem unconscious of this process are still using it, only in reverse. They imagine worst-case scenarios, dwell on lack, rehearse past hurts, and without realizing it, they are constructing futures in the likeness of their fears. To imagine is to choose. It is to claim authority over your inner world. You are always imagining, even when you're unaware. The question is not whether you are using imagination, but how you are using it. It is not fantasy if you persist in it. It is not unreal if you feel it deeply. The secret lies in the intensity of belief and the consistency of focus. When imagination is fused with emotion, it becomes an order to the universe, a silent command that reality must obey. Letting go is often misunderstood as a form of giving up, a resignation to failure or defeat. But in truth, it is none of these things. Letting go is not abandonment of desire. It is the acceptance that what you have asked for is already on its way. It is the release of tension, of the need to control every detail, of the restless questioning about how or when your desire will manifest. It is the quiet confidence that once the seed has been planted, it will grow, regardless of your ability to watch or understand the process. To let go is to step out of the energy of striving and into the energy of knowing. It is to stop wrestling with circumstances and rest in the assumption that the end is already secured. This is not passivity. It is alignment. It is a willingness to stop fighting the current of life and instead float with it, trusting that the stream knows the way. Control is born of fear, but letting go is born of faith. It is the act of surrendering the struggle without surrendering the desire. In the unseen world, where all things are first formed, the act of imagining and feeling the wish fulfilled is the true act of creation. Once that inner work is done, nothing more is required except the inner consent to let it unfold. Letting go is the space between planting and harvest. It is the sacred pause where nothing seems to be happening, but in truth, everything is being rearranged. The human mind clings tightly to timelines, outcomes, and logic, but the creative intelligence that governs reality works in subtler, more fluid ways. When you let go, you release the mental noise that interrupts the natural rhythm of manifestation. You stop interfering with your own creation through doubt and desperation. In this space, a deeper wisdom takes over, a movement that does not need your effort, only your permission. Letting go, then, is not a loss of control, but a recognition that you never needed to control it in the first place. Assumption is the secret force behind every experience, every transformation, every change in your world. It is not mere hope, not wishful thinking, but the deliberate choosing of a state of being. When you assume something to be true, truly feel it, accept it, and live from it, you invite it to shape your reality. Assumption operates as a law. What you embody inwardly must express itself outwardly. It bypasses logic, defies appearances, and transcends probability, because it deals not in the world of effects, but in the world of cause. Assumption begins not with what is, but with what could be, then treats that imagined outcome as real. It is the conscious adoption of the end before there is any sign of its arrival. It is thinking from the desire rather than of it. Most people live in reaction to their senses, measuring life only by what they see and hear, but assumption invites you to reverse this pattern. It says, if you want to see something new, you must feel something new first. You must walk as if, speak as if, breathe as if it already is. The mind may object. It may demand proof, question the logic, cling to the familiar, but assumption does not need evidence. It creates it. The moment you inwardly accept a new reality, the outer world begins to shift to reflect it. It may not be immediate or obvious, but it is inevitable. Life organizes itself around the state you inhabit. To assume is to take possession internally, to act in faith that the unseen is more real than the seen. It is a quiet certainty that says, because I have felt it within, it must appear without. This power is always working, whether you use it deliberately or not. Every identity you hold, every story you repeat, every expectation you cling to is an assumption. The question is whether your assumptions are conscious and empowering or unconscious and limiting. To assume with intention is to reclaim your creative authority. It is to move beyond chance and into authorship. Your outer world is not fixed. It is fluid, malleable, responsive. When you persist in an assumption, when you return to it again and again, no matter what reality presents, you become the cause rather than the effect. Force is born from fear, a fear that what you desire may not come, that you must do more, be more, or fix something before it arrives. It is a frantic energy pushing against the current of life, trying to bend circumstances through sheer effort and control. But creation does not respond to force. It responds to alignment. What you chase, you often repel, not because it is beyond your reach, but because your inner state denies its presence. Faith, on the other hand, is a resting place. It is the quiet certainty that what is yours will come, not through struggle, but through surrender. To relax into faith is not to do nothing. It is to stop doing what does not serve. It is to let go of frantic thoughts, to release the grip of worry, to cease repeating the old story of lack and delay. Faith is not passive. It is powerful, but its power is subtle, like gravity. It draws things to you, not because you demand them, but because you trust they are already on their way. When you act from faith, you act with ease, with a lightness of being. There is no tension, no desperation, only a gentle expectation that things are unfolding perfectly. Faith does not argue with time. It does not need constant reassurance. It does not measure progress by visible signs. It rests in the unseen, in the inner knowing that what you have felt and assumed is already set in motion. Faith is a willingness to remain still while the world catches up to the vision you have already lived within. It is being unmoved by appearances, undisturbed by delay, uninterested in doubt. It is the recognition that the moment you desired, the wheels began to turn and nothing is required of you but to remain in the state of fulfillment. Relaxation is not the absence of desire, it is the confidence of fulfillment. It says, I have already received, even when nothing yet shows. It allows the energy of creation to flow freely without obstruction. Force clogs the channel, but faith opens it wide. There is nothing to earn, nothing to chase, nothing to grasp. What is truly yours cannot be withheld. And when you rest in that truth, you no longer need to convince, control, or overthink. You simply return again and again to the feeling of it already being done. The outer world is not a separate, independent force acting upon you. It is a mirror, reflecting back the contents of your inner world. Every person you meet, every circumstance you encounter, every condition that surrounds you is an echo of a deeper, invisible state of consciousness. This truth is subtle, yet absolute. Life does not happen to you. It happens through you. The universe is not responding to what you want with your words, but to what you are in your assumption, in your mood, in your habitual feeling. This mirroring is not always immediate or obvious, because reality often lags behind the inner shift. But if you look closely, the patterns are unmistakable. When you are in a state of lack, the world presents more lack. When you dwell in fear, life brings you reasons to be afraid. But when you shift your inner state, when you assume abundance, peace, love, the outer world rearranges to match that frequency. It is not magic, it is law. The outer is compelled to reflect the inner because they are not two, they are one. People often seek to change the mirror, trying to alter their relationships, their finances, their health by force or manipulation. But just as you cannot change your reflection in a mirror by touching the glass, you cannot change your reality by working solely on the external. You must go within, where all power resides. The universe is impersonal. It does not judge, it does not withhold, it does not favor one over another. It simply reflects what is consistently held in consciousness. If you desire a new reflection, you must first become the version of yourself who would naturally live that experience. Feel it, assume it, inhabit it fully, and reality will echo that change. Do not be deceived by appearances, for they are only the result of prior assumptions. The world you see today is the harvest of seeds planted long before in thought and feeling. You cannot plant discord and reap harmony. You cannot dwell in lack and expect overflow. You must become inwardly what you wish to see outwardly. This law is liberating because it means you are never at the mercy of conditions. You are not a victim of fate or chance. You are the author, whether knowingly or not. Every time you revise a belief, elevate a feeling, or imagine differently, you change the mirror. The universe has no will apart from yours. It reflects what you accept as true, and when you take responsibility for your inner world, the outer must comply, not as a reward, but as a reflection. Trust is not hoping, wishing, or waiting with fingers crossed. Trust is certainty. It is the inner conviction that the moment a desire is born within you, its fulfillment is already assured. This knowing is not based on evidence, logic, or outward signs. It comes from a deeper awareness that reality responds not to effort, but to belief. The truth is, once you have assumed the end in consciousness, once you have felt it real, it is done. Everything that follows is simply the unfolding, the movement of what already exists in the unseen toward full expression in the seen. To trust is to rest in this invisible process with unwavering confidence. It is the quiet assurance that you have already received, even before anything appears to have changed. Trust does not need to monitor the situation. It does not demand updates or proofs. It does not ask when or how, because those questions belong to doubt. Trust lives in the answer. It walks in the result. It thinks and speaks from the fulfilled desire, not toward it. It knows that all things are moving into place by laws higher than human reason, and that the unseen is more real than what the senses can currently verify. This level of trust may feel unnatural at first because we are conditioned to rely on what we see. But creation does not begin with sight. It ends with it. The eyes only confirm what the inner world has already declared. When you trust, you give up the need to control the process. You do not try to force outcomes or manipulate conditions. You align with the end result as if it were already yours, because in truth, it is. What is accepted in imagination, when felt deeply and consistently, must externalize. This is not philosophy. It is law. Trust is the opposite of striving. It carries no urgency, no panic, no mental negotiation. It is calm, centered, and complete. It allows you to move through life with grace, knowing that what is yours cannot be missed and does not require struggle to obtain. When you trust that it's already done, your actions become inspired rather than desperate. You no longer move from lack, but from fulfillment. Every step is guided by the inner awareness that the path is unfolding perfectly, not to bring you to your desire, but to reveal what has already been given. Feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the unseen thought and the seen result. It is not enough to simply think of what you want. You must feel it, embody it, and dwell in it emotionally as if it were already real. Thought sets the direction, but feeling fuels the movement. The universe is not moved by idle wishes or surface-level affirmations. It responds to the deep inner vibration, the emotional conviction that says, "This is mine. This is real. This is done." Every emotion you entertain is a signal, a frequency you send into the field of creation. When you feel lack, you broadcast lack. When you feel gratitude for what you have not yet seen, you draw it closer with magnetic force. Feeling is not a reaction to what happens. It is the cause of what happens. It precedes the event. When you feel from the state of the wish fulfilled, you are not imagining a better life, you are entering it. The emotional experience of the desire as already accomplished is what impresses it upon the deeper mind, the creative self, and begins the process of externalization. Most people wait to feel the joy, the peace, the satisfaction after something happens. But in the creative process, it is the feeling first that brings the condition. You must generate the emotional state before the evidence arrives. You must fall in love with the unseen, with the version of yourself who already has, already is, already knows. That emotional resonance is what makes it real, even before the world has caught up. You cannot pretend to feel and expect results. The feeling must be genuine, not forced. Even a few seconds of true inner conviction is more powerful than hours of repetition without belief. The deeper self, the creative power within, only accepts what is felt. It does not analyze your intentions or weigh your logic. It receives what you emotionally affirm and reflects it back through the mirror of life. When you understand this, you realize that feeling is not a byproduct of creation. It is the cause. To feel it is to give it life. Persistence is the quiet power that sustains your vision long after doubt has tried to creep in and the world has shown no visible sign of change. It is the steadfast refusal to surrender your inner assumption, no matter what the outer circumstances seem to say. Proof may delay, appearances may contradict, but persistence holds the line of belief with unwavering loyalty. It knows that reality is shaped not by immediate evidence, but by the continued insistence of consciousness on a particular state. Most give up too soon, mistaking the absence of visible results for failure. They allow the shifting tides of circumstance to dictate their fate, abandoning the feeling of the wish fulfilled when the mirror of life does not yet reflect their desire. But the creative law does not work on a timetable that the senses recognize. It works on the timeline of belief. Persistence is the refusal to be moved by temporary conditions, the commitment to remain in the state of fulfillment, even when all evidence points otherwise. To persist is to maintain your mental and emotional focus despite delay, contradiction, or challenge. It is the act of returning again and again to the inner conviction that what you want is already done. This consistency, this loyalty to the unseen acts like gravity, pulling the outer circumstances into alignment with your inner state. The universe is compelled to respond to what is held firmly and without doubt in consciousness. Persistence is not stubbornness born of ignorance, but a deep wisdom born of experience. It understands that every visible change is preceded by a hidden shift. It knows that the seed planted beneath the soil must be nurtured through dark days and stillness before it can sprout. The power of persistence lies in its ability to outlast uncertainty, to outweigh resistance, and to remain faithful when proof is absent. It is the bridge between desire and manifestation, the faithful companion of creation. And so, the journey is not about striving harder or chasing what feels far away. It is about returning to your own center, to that sacred space within where creation begins. Imagination is your doorway, assumption is your key, and trust is the ground you stand on. When you let go of force, when you stop measuring life by appearances and begin living from the end, quietly, deliberately, faithfully, you enter into harmony with the unseen forces that shape your world. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe in expression. Your inner world is not a place of escape. It is the source of all reality. What you feel to be true becomes the truth you walk through. There is no need to struggle, to beg, or to plead, only to accept, only to assume, only to know that it is already done. Let go, relax, trust. The moment you do, life will rise to meet you, not as chance, but as the perfect reflection of who you have dared to become in consciousness. Thank you.